Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Oasis Was More Traumatic Than You Thought.
The story of Noel and Liam's life is troubled and traumatic. From the very beginning, Noel and Liam, along with their older brother Paul, faced a difficult upbringing. They were born into a working-class
Hang on, sorry. This photo. Weird. Noel looks like the way he looks, like I could see that kid growing up to be Noel. But Liam, this baby got switched.
Along with their older brother Paul, faced a difficult upbringing. They were born into a working-class community in Manchester, and with Noel and Liam being the two youngest brothers, they were forced to share a bedroom in their parents' council house.
Oh.
So this is mine and Noel's original room, original fucking plaque that we had.
Their father was an alcoholic and abusive, and the three children, along with their mother, would eventually have the courage to leave him, but not before he passed some of this abuse down to Noel and Liam.
Yeah, my dad used to beat living daylights out of me. I wouldn't say I was scarred, but everybody's childhood makes them what they are.
But in a way, this did help to shape Noel's personality and to develop him as a musician.
I think it benefited me in the way that it made me withdraw into my own world, and from that came the learning to play the guitar. I guess in some way, my old fella beat the talent into me.
These early years in the shared bedroom were the very beginnings of a difficult relationship. Not only were they constantly fighting, but they started to develop contrasting personalities. Noel was more reclusive and shy, later described by Liam as the weirdo in the family. He also suffered with a stutter, which he went to speech therapy for, something that was likely made worse by his father's abuse. Liam, on the other hand, was more active and outgoing, somehow avoiding the physical abuse from his father. Both of them struggled in school, constantly getting in trouble. That's if they even turned up. The rest of the time, they were getting in trouble with the police.
Phew, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that for them. I guess I should have known from the title of this video that it would be some dark stuff. I've seen the arguing between these guys over the years, and part of me thought that it was just a put on, like a bit. And maybe some of it is. Maybe a bit of it is a bit. But it seems like they're dealing with some pretty serious stuff, you know? Damn.
But perhaps the biggest difference between them was their early interest in music. Noel, being 6 years older, was likely able to appreciate one gift their father did give them, which was his love of music. Manchester in the 70s and 80s was a boiling pot of musical excitement. Bands such as the Smiths and the Stone Roses helped put Manchester at the centre of the musical map, and like it was for many people, music was an escape from the worries of day-to-day life. For Noel and Liam, it was seeing the Stone Roses in 1988 in Manchester that changed the course of their life. Both of them claim that if it wasn't for that gig, Oasis likely never would have happened.
Wow.
It was during this time that they also developed a love for classic bands, such as The Who and The Kinks, and of course, the Beatles. Liam's obsession with John Lennon became so strong that he often jokes that he's John Lennon reincarnated, despite being born 8 years before John Lennon's death.
John.
Yeah, that's something that, I've heard him say that, but I thought he was kind of joking. But the more I hear him say it, the less I think he's joking. But he seems capable. He seems like able to feed himself and use the bathroom, right? He's not totally lost it. What's he gonna say?
John Lennon. He's the main man.
For a couple of working class lads from Manchester, music was one opportunity that did present itself for them. And in hindsight, it seems that Noel and Liam, with their strong personalities, were destined to form a band. But this being Noel and Liam, the formation of Oasis was not that straightforward. Being 6 years older, Noel was the first to explore his own creativity with music. After getting injured at one of his early jobs when a steel gas pipe landed on his foot, Noel was transferred over to work in the company's warehouse. Alone in the warehouse, this gave him plenty of time to play guitar and write songs, something that was still a hobby at this point. It was during this time that he wrote some of the songs that would later be part of Definitely Maybe, Oasis's debut album. He would later call this place the Hit Hut because of so many classic songs he wrote during his time here. But whilst the Stone Roses show offered Liam a vision for the future, for Noel, it provided him with a real path out of Manchester. At the gig, he met Graham Lambert, the guitarist from Inspiral Carpets. He told Noel that the singer of Inspiral Carpets was leaving, and they were looking for a new singer. Noel auditioned and was unsuccessful, but he was offered some work as part of their road crew. Noel would work with Inspiral Carpets for 3 years, a job that would take him all over the world.
What?
But it was after returning from a tour in 1991 where things would really change.
Hang on. In Spiral Carpets. I know that name. In Spiral Carpets. What songs I do? This is how it feels. I kind of like it. I heard some unique chord progressions.
Noel would work within Spiral Carpets for 3 years, a job that would take him all over the world. But it was after returning from a tour in 1991 where things would really change. Arriving back in Manchester, he discovered that his younger brother Liam was now the singer in a band called The Rain. Liam, along with their friend Bonehead, were also the songwriters for the band. But when Noel heard the songs they'd written, he thought they were awful. The Rain were not successful at all. Not only were the songs not any good, but they barely rehearsed, and even less frequently got any gigs. Liam asked Noel if he'd be willing to help.
Will you be our manager? And I was like, what? You're all right. Oh, you know loads of people. I was like, no, I know these lot from in Spiral Carpets.
But it was when Noel played one of his songs to the band that it became clear what his role would be.
Liam saying, yeah, you must have loads of songs. Play one. And I was like, all right, well, you do this, you play that, and everybody joined in. And it was at that moment when I heard a song that I'd written come to life. I was like, it was a massive awakening, and it was instant.
Noel and Liam were now on the same path together, but having spent years apart, working together in a band would see these old childhood difficulties come back around.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't know it happened that way. I thought that Noel had started a band and then Liam showed up and sang a little bit and then they said, you want to be the lead singer? I didn't know that Liam had the band and then Noel showed up and they said, hey, you want to write our songs and play guitar and tell us what to do? Interesting. They got along for a little bit, sounds like.
The early days of Oasis saw a return to the relationship they once had. Two explosive, clashing personalities fueled by an intense love of music and a desire to escape the world they were born into. Although they would publicly get into arguments, both with each other and everyone else, they still had a unique respect for one another, and understood that they wouldn't be on this journey if it wasn't for the other one. Even years later after they split, this recognition of each other's talents was still often shown.
Well, he's a great songwriter, man.
Yeah, there you go. No,
there you go.
great songwriter.
It's the delivery or the tone of his voice and the attitude. I don't have the same attitude as him. When I would sing a song, it would sound good. When he would sing it, it would sound great.
Their personalities also helped to give them an iconic branding, reigniting the story of working-class lads from Manchester writing songs about what life was really like. The heavy partying and bad behaviour was all part of their image. But as early as 1994, only a few months after their debut album was released, did the rift between them start to grow. The first of many incidents happened during a show in Los Angeles, when they started gesturing and insulting each other on stage, before a drug-fueled Liam threw a tambourine at Noel. Noel left and for a short while was missing. It took some time and effort to track him down, and it turned out he was staying with a girl he'd met in San Francisco.
I think he said something and then I fucking launched the tambourine at him or something.
I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I thought it was the end.
Soon enough, he was persuaded to rejoin and continue the tour.
Liam threw a tambourine at Noel. How hard? Where did it hit him? Where did it land? Oh, it was at the Whiskey A Go-Go. That's down the street. Oh, this says they've both mentioned in interviews about how Liam threw a tambourine at Noel on stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go gig, but watch the footage and he barely flings it, and it only just reaches Noel. But from how they described it, you'd think it was a full-on launch right at Noel's head. Can I find that video? Oh, what? Oh, y'all, things I'm finding on the internet say that they were on meth. Did that get around the algorithm? We'll see.
After the success of Definitely Maybe, the band were set to hop over the Atlantic for their first proper tour of the USA. Could we just take a moment in recognition of whoever the tour manager was for Oasis at this point? Because boy,
oh my God,
they had their work cut out for them.
Yes, they did.
Oasis weren't afraid to bring their non-conforming, chaotic, stick a middle finger up to the music industry charm to the States. Though the rock scene in America was thriving at the time, with the likes of Green Day, Weezer, Pearl Jam, and Rage Against the Machine dominating the landscape of anti-establishment 90s rock, Compared to Oasis, this scene was pretty tame. Oasis had garnered a reputation for being totally unhandleable. To put it frankly, they were proper d***heads, with no regard for anything or anyone. America wasn't ready for what had landed on its shores. Imagine loading the Tasmanian devil up with loads of drugs, a repulsive know-it-all attitude, putting millions of pounds in his bank account, giving him the power that comes from an entire nation worshipping their feet, and then setting them loose across America. That would give you an idea of what Oasis were all about. And to prove that, the band almost immediately got into trouble when arriving in LA. West Hollywood, the location of this infamous gig.
Okay.
First, they were kicked out of radio station KROQ for compulsive swearing on air.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
normal start.
Yeah.
Later though, they were reported to be fighting with bouncers at the Viper Room. And to top it off, armed police officers were called to their accommodation at 6 a.m. because Bonehead, the guitarist, kept playing Supersonic on his guitar as loudly as possible through the night. Oh, leave him be, he was just practicing. But now you get an idea of the mischief this band had brought to America. 29th of September 1994, the date of the Whiskey A Go Go concert. A legendary venue, a venue that has the power to launch a musical career to new heights. Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Doors all owe a bit of thanks to this place. Would Oasis put on the performance of their lives and win the hearts of America? No, not quite. In the hours before the gig, one of Oasis's team were tasked with finding some recreational white powder. Not your standard errand, is it? They brought back what they thought was the right narcotic, but actually they brought back something much, much worse. As you can imagine, what resulted was the worst set imaginable. That is to say, on a technical level, I have no idea what the atmosphere was like in the room. It might have been bloody hilarious. Bass amps reportedly exploded. Noel played completely different songs to the rest of the band. Liam threatened the crowd after someone nearly kicked over his mic. Noel's vocals were all over the place, and Liam would simply sit out some songs because he couldn't be bothered to sing. And of course, the famous Liam-Noel bickering. Liam reportedly got in Noel's face and told him to go f*** himself, and smacked him on the head with a tambourine. By the way, if you'd like to hear the audio from this god-awful set, I've popped a link to it in the description below.
Okay, let's hear the audio. Oasis live at the Whiskey A Go.
Testing. All right, LA.
It doesn't sound that bad. The crowd seems to be digging it all right. Okay, just walked off. Is that it? Okay. Well, y'all, I watched the show, most of it. I only saw one tambourine toss, and he just sort of flung it on the floor. And it sounded good. I didn't hear induced chaos. I heard Oasis. I don't know.
Shouldn't have come back. Biggest mistake I ever made was coming back. Because Morning Glory would have been my first solo album. Man, I'd have had all the fucking money.
It was during the recording of their second album, What's the Story? Morning Glory, where the fighting between them started to show a clear difference between the two's work ethic. As Liam was the only one that neither played an instrument or wrote any songs, there was a lot of time during the recording process when he'd be sat around with nothing to do. Bored.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't play any instruments, you know what I mean? A lot of all the rest of the band played instruments. I'd sort of do my singing and I'd be sort of bored, you know what I mean? So I'd be in the pub most of the time.
On one occasion, he brought a few of the guys from the pub back to the studio, where they started interfering with recording and touching Noel's guitars.
Oh no.
On one of these occasions, the group of lads from the pub started playing cricket in the studio. A fight broke out between Noel and Liam, which ended with Noel hitting Liam over the head with a cricket bat.
Oh, I have heard that.
My argument would be, what you doing fucking taking 900 fucking takes to fucking do one guitar riff?
Liam's troublesome behaviour continued, and whilst Noel's lifestyle was just as erratic, Liam's behaviour made it difficult for the band to continue, whilst Noel was still driven for the band to work really hard. A year later, in 1996, they were due to perform as part of MTV's Unplugged series. But on the day of the performance, Liam didn't show up, and nobody knew where he was.
Right.
And about an hour before we were due to go on, he turned up absolutely shit-faced.
Good morning, what's up, fly?
I said, well, look, let's see if you can sing a couple of songs, and it was just dreadful.
Unsure of whether to cancel the show or not, Noel took over duties as lead singer. It may seem like this fighting and behaviour is a product of their lifestyle with Oasis, but really this is just reminiscent of their childhood days. Take, for example, the incident when they were younger, when Liam urinated over Noel's stereo back when they were sharing a room. Liam returned home one night from a party, presumably very drunk, and was either unable to turn on the light switch or thought he wandered into the toilet. In any case, he ended up urinating not into the toilet, but all over Noel's stereo.
My kid's in bed, I was just stood there.
You can tell from the way he tells this story that he's not actually regretful and actually still finds it quite funny.
It is funny.
The fighting continued in the years ahead, but as the years went by, the dynamic between the two of them had dramatically changed. So far, I know it seems like Liam is the troublemaker and Noel is solely responsible for their success, but soon Noel's childhood behaviour would become evident.
I wasn't thinking that, but that is a good summation of what we've seen so far.
But soon, Noel's childhood behaviour would become evident. For example, after Liam had been in a fight and reportedly lost a couple of teeth, Noel's response was, "All I care about is if he can still sing." Or when Noel was asked about Liam's creative contributions, he replied, "I can read him and I can play him like a slightly disused card game. I can make him make decisions that he thinks are his, but really they're mine." And famously, in 2009, Noel referred to Liam as the angriest man you'll ever meet. He's like a man with a fork in a world of soup.
I've heard that.
Years later, Liam would reply with this video.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
You've made a very so-called angry man very, very happy.
The eventual breakup of Oasis happened in 2009. Just hours before they were due to perform at a festival in Paris, Noel announced that he could no longer work with Liam and was quitting the band, putting out this statement. "It is with some sadness and great relief I quit Oasis tonight. People will write and say what they like, but I simply could not go on working with Liam a day longer." Oasis didn't perform that night, and many people thought they never would again. Whilst the two of them have since matured into their own personalities, the fighting between them has continued at a distance, as for many years they didn't even speak. Liam has continued with BDI, and Noel has since gone on to build his own solo career with the band Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, a group that Liam calls High Flying Turds. That's actually quite funny. Liam also went on a rampage, posting photos of Noel on Twitter with the caption, "Potato." Noel isn't guilt-free though, releasing a number of early Oasis demos, but instead the versions without Liam or Bonehead. There's of course so much more besides this. Some of it is quite personal and hurtful about the other one's children and partner. So why are they now getting back together, seemingly without any kind of apology? Underneath everything that's happened and the animosity between them is this shared drive to escape their world. Of course, all of the bad behaviour stems from their difficult upbringing, and as Noel has said, that stays with you. But so too do the positive things. And with this reunion set to be so highly anticipated, clearly the drive they once had is still there.
Y'all be sure to go to David Hartley's page and like and subscribe. Yeah, I knew some of those stories, but yeah, it's crazy how when you're a little kid, you form these relationships with your parents and you have different needs from that. So like an abusive father, that's got to be so confusing to a kid. And the only way they know how to deal with the world is through lashing out. That's rough, but it makes sense. It makes total sense. And I'm actually surprised that they're as survivable as they are. Is that the word? Survivable? Oh, also be sure to go to Music Mongoose and like and subscribe. Had a little bit of his stuff in there. So it seems like Liam and Bonehead were together before Oasis. How did they meet? Bonehead was born in Manchester. Oh, he was in another band, and the singer was sacked and replaced by Liam, who suggested the band change their name to Oasis. Liam and Arthur's Bonehead teamed up as songwriters. When Noel played Champagne Supernova, Bonehead broke down and cried. I didn't think he was that kind of guy. I thought he was more of a punch you in the face if you make me feel feelings kind of guy. Oh, he left Oasis in 1999 to spend more time with his family. Ooh, Noel said it's hardly Paul McCartney leaving the Beatles. Damn. How did they meet, though? This guy says it was Bonehead who actually created the band's sound. Okay. Definitely maybe it was Noel's therapy, it was his poetry, but it was Bonehead's core sound. I know because I heard it back when they were still called The Rain. It just says that they were introduced. Can't find anything. Well, you know, I used to really not like Oasis, back when they were popular because I thought they just ripped off the Beatles so much. But since then, Noel has admitted to ripping off the Beatles, which I admire. Glad he did that. Now I don't mind them so much, and I think they're pretty funny. They're funny guys. They should have been stand-up comedians, but I hope their tour goes well. I hope they're able to sell tickets, because the tickets are expensive. I looked it up. The cricket bat to the back of the head seems overkill, but for the most part, they're just being brothers, right? I have an older brother, and he never hit me in the head with a bat. Anyway, y'all be sure to go to David Hartley's page and like and subscribe. Also, Music Mongoose. And if you made it this far in the video, how about giving me a like and subscribe? I'd like to thank my patrons, my Buy Me a Coffee people. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.